Thank you so much for joining us on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and here's what we're tracking for you today on Wednesday, January 7th. Another day of weather impact alerts throughout the Pacific Northwest, with more expected to come tomorrow. Our meteorologists are tracking more snow and rain on the way. We'll have the local forecast with impacts to each area coming up. And the water keeps rising on a Lake Tapps road in Washington with no clear end in sight. Who's responsible for fixing it and why crews say it's not a simple repair? And more rain looks to be on the way in California. How much is expected as the state is still recovering from recent storms? And once again, we want to thank you for joining us on Weather Out West. If you haven't joined us before, this is an hour-long show where we tell you what's happening weather-wise across the western United States. We have 8 regions to tell you about, 8 stations and 8 cities to tell you about. We're going to begin today in Portland because our weather team issued a weather impact alert as another front is going to bring heavy showers and possibly even hail to portions of the area. Additionally, a winter storm warning continues for the Cascades as well. Let's check in with Rod Hill because he has everything you need to know in today's forecast.
Welcome to Portland, where the weather person has been busy this morning. We have multiple alerts across our state. What was the big headline yesterday, the winter storm warning for the Cascades, that still continues today. And it was the biggest headline because we need the snow so badly. So you're looking at fresh snow up at Timberline this morning, one of our live cameras, 16 inches of new snow. It's been mostly flurry/light snow showers up there this morning with a temperature of 20 degrees, but snow rates will pick back up as we march into the afternoon hours, and we think we're going to get another pretty good shot. There's the warning from the Weather Service up and down the Washington, Oregon Cascades in purple, and also out into the getting into the Blue Mountains for heavier snow. Should get another foot today. Again, it's pretty quiet this morning, really, but heavy snow rates much of the afternoon into the evening will deliver that. Snow levels as low as 2,000, certainly well below all of the Cascade passes, and with that, temperatures including at Government Camp, that's the pass on Highway 26 over Mount Hood, should stay below freezing. Again, those roadways are snow covered. All right, so there's that. We're also tracking this, a KGW weather impact alert for kind of a March/October day, meaning we got cooler weather coming in, unstable air mass. We've had some lightning clusters already along the coast this morning, and we think we'll get some heavy scattered showers or passing rain shots in the valley, including some. I really feel hail reports, are absolutely likely as we progress through the day. So we have the impact alert for that fairly wild weather up through about 7 p.m. this evening. Here is the second front. Last night's front came in early evening as expected, gave us a 41-mile-per-hour wind gust out at PDX here in Portland, the airport. And we picked up 75 or 100 of an inch of rain yesterday into last night. So that was kind of right on cue for the most part, although it took the rain a little bit to get going yesterday. But this is the second front. We've had at one point this morning 71 lightning strikes over a 30-minute period that were mostly offshore. You see some of the clusters right there, but all of that is kind of faded. So it looks like the concern of stormy weather, at least for the time being, has lessened quite a bit. That is the second front and the rain band that will be moving into Portland later this morning for a quick hitting shot of a narrow, heavy rain band. Some breezy west winds, yes, but nothing concerning. And then that colder surge of air, the secondary surge, see the thick blue, that refires up the snow levels, snow rates in the Cascades. And then this is at 2 o'clock. Notice bright color between Portland and Salem, bright color outside of Eugene, up around Longview. These are scattered downpours. I think absolutely some of them will contain hail showers, so keep an eye on all that. I mentioned we've had 75 and 100 of an inch of rain. Well, we're going to add about a half of an inch of rain to that potentially today through tomorrow in Portland, and maybe another inch in Tillamook. Tillamook's already had over 2 inches of rain, so a big soak in the Tillamook Valley and Bay area there. All right, our camera this morning looking at the Columbia, a little bit of glistening sunlight, looks like, from the springs at the waterfront. Here's the wine country Chehalem tasting room out in Sherwood. Again, a reminder for the valley forecast. We are expecting some heavy periods of rain or at least scattered downpours with some hail today. Generally mid-40s coast and valley, upper 30s to about 40 for highs out on the east side. Here's that 7-day forecast. No alert tomorrow for the city, but more showers on Thursday. All dry on Friday and all dry this weekend.
And as the region is gearing up for more snow in the Cascades, meteorologist Joe Rainieri went up to the mountains in Oregon to get a gauge on how people are feeling about it all.
We've all heard that expression, good things come to those who wait. For skiers and snowboarders, the wait is finally over.
We were checking it the past couple days and it looked pretty bleak, and didn't know what to expect. Thought it'd be maybe a little bit later in the season even, but it worked out perfectly for our schedule, so yeah, we were excited.
After being teased the last several weeks with a couple of weather systems,
it feels great. We feel great. Our customers, we know, feel great. There's been a lot of pent-up demand. We got some customers back here giving us the fist pumps right now, so we'll take it. We're getting excited.
The first major winter storm of the year is a welcome sight for the ski resorts.
We'd all like an earlier start. At Timberline, we're fortunate enough to have the hotel, a bunch of restaurants open to kind of, get us through, but Mother Nature's going to do what she's going to do.
It hasn't been just the Pacific Northwest that has been seeing a later start. It's been just as bad in parts of California, too.
Big Bear's been terrible. It's been like just no snow at all. I think it only snowed once this year so far. So, they're just using the man-made snow.
With another 3 to 4 feet in the forecast the next couple of days.
That's what we're planning for. That's how we kind of get mountain ops ramped up, all the teams ramped up in the hotel down in the day lodge. So we take that stuff pretty seriously, watch pretty close.
Snowboarders are hoping this is just the beginning.
It's our first time up. We took a Honda Civic and braved the roads with our chains, but we'll see how it is going back down.
Of more winter storms coming through here.
Now let's head up to Washington because Spokane's Nicole Hernandez is tracking more snow and windy conditions on this Wednesday.
I'm Nicole Hernandez in Spokane, Washington, and take a look at this beautiful live look over Coeur d'Alene. You can see a little bit of blue skies through the clouds. We do have a little bit of sun shining across our region right now. It's a break in between two batches of snow, one yesterday, which we already talked about, and then another coming for this afternoon. We're also windy this afternoon, and then we're talking about patchy freezing spots. Now, most of the impacts from our freezing were this morning because we were below freezing. But of course, always be careful. We still have the impacts of some of the snow in parts of our region. Really difficult yesterday because some of us out in the Palouse literally got no snow, only got rain. But then some of us, like way up north in Medellin and Ione, there's still snow on the roads from all of the snow that fell. Even all the way down to Deer Park, there's still snow sticking on some of the grasses and stuff. So depending on where you are, really changes how impactful the snow and freezing and icy conditions has been for your morning. As the day continues, we will warm up enough to hopefully melt off anything that did cause problems. So we are clear for now as the storm system that moved through yesterday moves its way more east. But we have another low pressure system that's now moving its way into the region. This is what's causing more snow to hit us this afternoon. So starting at about 4 p.m., we see some moisture through central Washington. Depending on where you are, that's going to be snow or rain. This then moves its way into eastern Washington and North Idaho by this evening. This is about 6 p.m. and you can see a small band of snow moving its way through. The snow feels very similar to yesterday's. It's going to be similar in the sense that the spots that had snow but it didn't stick will be the same. The spots that have snow and light accumulation, similar. Some places still just going to see rain. The difference with this compared to yesterday is it's not lasting nearly as long. So we end up seeing way less in terms of total accumulation from this. Yesterday felt like the snow lasted all day, right? It started and then never really stopped, not until later into the evening. This is not going to be that. For eastern Washington, we really see basically nothing in terms of accumulation. There's a chance some of these spots see less than ½ of an inch, so basically a dusting, but for the most part, it's really not going to be all that impactful. Out in North Idaho, a little more. In Coeur d'Alene, less than an inch, same with St. Mary's. Sandpoint, maybe another inch or two from this. The biggest impact for this round of snow, though, comes in our mountains. Lookout Pass could see another 8 inches or more of snow. Snoqualmie Pass could see another foot or more of snow. And you combine that with all of the snow we saw yesterday, these are huge impacts for our mountains. This is great for our mountain resorts, the places that run off of snow, but it's obviously not great for our passes and our roads. So be careful if you do need to go over any passes. For the fact that we have this heavy mountain snow and some wind, we are under a weather impact alert for today. We ended up canceling tomorrow's weather impact alert. We thought we might get another round of snow, but instead things look pretty calm and partly cloudy with maybe even some sunshine peeking its way through. Once things calm down, we actually stay pretty calm through your weekend with a ridge of high pressure moving its way in.
And coming up after the break, more snow is headed to the northwest. We'll have forecasts from Hector Mendoza in Boise and Rich Marriott in Seattle. And in the Gem State, Idaho is starting off with an unusual winter. Warm temperatures combined with frequent storms have led to plenty of rain, but very little snow in many parts of the state. Experts say the rain has caused rivers to rise and reservoirs are filling far earlier than normal, water that usually would have been stored in the mountain snowpack for the spring.
Since we've been seeing rain as being the predominant precipitation type instead of snow across the state of Idaho, we already have had some flooding, especially in the northern part of the state. We had heavy rain at a time of year when normally the precipitation falls as snow, and that caused mudslides and the rivers to rise in those areas, and we've seen some of that even here in central Idaho.
Snow levels are expected to drop with this week's storm, but after that, forecasters expect another warm and dry stretch, meaning Idaho's snow outlook remains uncertain. Boise's Hector Mendoza is tracking the potential for low snow, which could impact some Thursday morning commutes.
Well, a lot of the ski resorts that were praying and hoping for some snow and some significant snow, they got it here yesterday through the afternoon and through early this morning. And this is a look at Bogus Basin at that snow stake here, getting about 6 inches here. And that'll continue to stack up here through the rest of this morning and heading in through this afternoon. We're also seeing that several inches made its way through Breckenridge, that is there, getting around 4 inches there through at least 9 o'clock in the morning. And again, a lot of these totals will start to stack up as we're expecting a little bit more here through Thursday morning. As you reach higher elevation, 6 to 10 inches is possible through Thursday morning. And as those snow levels start to drop, as the next system comes in with much colder temperatures and dropping those snow levels, that's when we're expecting a little bit of some of that snow to start to stack up through portions of the Treasure and Magic Valleys. We're expecting here further east as we look at Twin Falls and Gooding and some of those areas to see a little bit more of that snow than compared to the Treasure Valley, but we are expecting to see some of those flurries here through the morning, and that's why we do have first alert weather conditions set into place for that quick shot of some valley snow, as we could see a little less than about a half an inch here through the Boise metro area. And then again, further east, about an inch is possible to start to stack up. So that could impact the morning commute. We're also going to expect to add some more to some of those drive times. So you're going to allow yourself some extra time here as you do head out for tomorrow. That's something to really prep for. And then we'll continue to keep up with some of those updates. But as we look at what we have on the way, we do have that wet and wintry sort of those conditions here through Thursday. Then we're going to start to dry out as we get towards the second half of that Thursday. Clear conditions, expecting a little bit more of that sunshine, and that stays pretty consistent here through the weekend and even in through early next week. But the one thing that we are going to be paying attention to is a possibility of an inversion starting to set up here in many of the valley spots. But as we look at the big picture and pay attention to today and tomorrow, that first system that came in late last night and then continues here through this morning will bring in a little bit more of those cooler conditions to this afternoon. Then the next one comes in here with its cold front, colder temperatures, and that's what's going to allow some of those snow levels to start to drop. So again, a lot of that rain has continued further east. Going to see a bit of a break here as we get towards the afternoon, and then we'll continue to see some of those scattered conditions all the way through this evening and heading in through tonight. But as we look at around 10 to 9 o'clock, that's when we see the best chance for some of that snow to start to make its way through the Magic Valley. And then very close after that, they're very early through Thursday at around 2 to 3 in the morning is when we're expecting some of the timing to see some of those flurries. So maybe not seeing it really stick to some of those roadways for too long, but it will cause for some of those wet conditions there on the interstate. And of course, we'll continue with some of those showers up in portions of the mountains. That'll continue here through at least Friday with some spots spots, especially as we look at the west central mountains that could linger there through some of those areas. But for the most part, we'll stay dry and see a lot more of that sunshine, but still staying cold here through portions of the mountains as we'll stay close to some of those freezing temperatures for those afternoon highs into the weekend. Now, as we look at the 7-day forecast here in Boise, those temperatures will continue into those low 40s. Morning lows are going to stick around those mid to upper 20s, and that's going to stay pretty consistent there through Saturday and Sunday. Could see a possibility of some spots getting a little bit more sunshine, but we'll continue with some of the dry conditions into the middle of next week.
And the Idaho Department of Water Resources says some snowstake sites across the state are measuring the lowest snowpack on record for this point in the season. That includes Bogus Basin. They're also experiencing the warmest winter on record since 1934. And in Boise, the lowest cumulative snowfall ever this far into the winter season.
We're in better shape now because we have 2 additional reservoirs on the system. We had pretty good carryover. We do have higher base flows because of this precipitation, so our wintertime flow is higher than normal, but it's nothing compared to the spring runoff when the snow melts. So it's not enough to fill the reservoirs, but it can get us a lot further than we got in 1934.
And David says we are facing one of the worst droughts in a long time, but if it gets colder and these high precipitation patterns continue, there is a chance of recovery. Speaking of recovery, it's almost time for the McCall Winter Carnival in Idaho. This is the video of snow sculptures from last year. The annual carnival will kick off January 30th with sculptures, local art, live music, and local vendors. Look how cool that is. The carnival will wrap up February 8th with the annual Mardi Gras parade and Winter Carnival fireworks show. Very, very cool. Giving you a live look at the base of Alpental slopes. If you're familiar, Snoqualmie Pass, and just after weeks of a delay of a fresh foot of snow is finally enough for Snoqualmie to open up the Alpental slopes. As you see, the lifts are just in full force. Seattle's Drew Andre is at the summit tracking the conditions.
Well, it is dumping out here this morning, so a lot more fresh powder being added to the mix here this morning as crews are getting all set for the opening here at Alpental because the lifts are starting to run here at the Armstrong Express. Staff is getting all set. So the plan here is for Alpental to open the lower mountain first, then subsequently open additional lifts and terrain as more of that is cleared. Now, Summit West opened back up on the 23rd of December. And now here we are a couple weeks later as Alpental has opened. Now, as the snow started to really come down yesterday, these are the impacts that we saw at the pass. The eastbound lanes closed west of the summit, and there were multiple spinouts and crashes just like this. It closed for 2+ hours. This morning, though, things are looking better. Although as the snow continues to come down, right now traction tires are advised along Snoqualmie and Blewett Pass, with traction tires required for White Pass, and over at Stevens Pass, chains are required this morning with still some limited access. As we come back out here to the ski lifts, there's a newly updated chairlift that opens today. Edelweiss triple chair. That'll get its first action today, as many people are already showing up this morning for opening day here at Alpental. I'm Drew Andre, King 5 News.
And Seattle's Rich Merritt is tracking more heavy snow headed to the mountains, as well as the potential for some lower elevation snow, which could impact Thursday morning commutes.
Well, good morning. I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Merritt, and it has been quite a 24 hours up in the mountains here in western Washington, up in the Cascades. Double-digit snow totals for all the areas up there. We have not seen that this winter, that's for sure. It was pretty good, anywhere from 10 to 20 plus inches. We'll look at exact totals in just a minute, but right now you can see as we head towards mid-morning, we do have another front pushing in, much weaker than the one that moved in yesterday. It's at least much smaller, that's for sure. Fairly intense, though, for that front frontal passage, which will take place probably around midday or so, but it's going to give us several hours of steady rain before it turns to off and on showers behind it. And like yesterday, we're going to develop a Puget Sound convergence zone, which is going to be primarily up around Everett and northward and out towards US 2. That's where they got 21 inches of snow in 24 hours because of the convergence zone continuing to just dump anywhere from 1 to 2 inches an hour over part of the evening. So very active pattern. This morning up there just around the Bellingham area, we had a fairly heavy shower that moved through there. And of course, snow levels are running around 1,500 feet today. And so that pushed it down close to 1,000 feet, maybe 500 to 1,000 feet. So up in that area, they actually saw some wet snow come down and stick in a few places. One of those places, I-5, there near Lake Sammamish, and that part of I-5 is right up around 1,000 feet. So that's where you'd expect to see it. Around, if you go farther south, only looking at about 1,500 feet ordinarily, but along with the heavy shower, that did bring it down and make it stick on the highway. And several of our viewers, Lori there from Bellingham, sent that coating of snow there on the bushes and trees there in her garden. And from Sudden Valley, which is up near Bellingham, you can see if you look closely, those snowflakes kind of dropping down there, looking like pretty wet snow, but still, snow is snow, that's for sure. Checking Bellingham, our Bellingham tower cam there, you can see basically gray, and they've only been seeing rain near the water, so it's normally warmer there. But snow levels, again, generally running around 1,500 feet, but as usual, it's a little bit lower to the north, and that plus a heavy shower, enough to get it down to the lower elevations. So we're going to see that happening off and on all the way into tomorrow, it looks like, because we're going to be hovering around that 1,000 to 1,500 foot snow level. In Everett, looking at just cloudy skies and some occasional showers right now, but that steady rain headed their way just a little later on this morning. And same thing for Tacoma, and definitely a lot less wind than we saw yesterday, so that's good news. Here's the 24-hour totals as of 5 a.m. this morning from the Northwest Avalanche Center's automated telemetry. 20 inches of new at Mount Baker. We also had 20 at Paradise at Mount Rainier. Stevens Pass checking in with 21 inches. That was the champion, thanks to the convergence zone. Snoqualmie Pass, including Alpental, which opened for the first time today up there at Snoqualmie Pass. 10 inches of new, 13 new for Crystal Mountain. White Pass checking in with 11 inches of new. A pretty great 24 hours for the skiers and for skiers and snowboarders. Checking that extended forecast. So that rain moves in, turns to off and on showers. We get another round of heavy snow, anywhere from about 6 to 12 inches, so about half of what we saw from the preceding storm. And then as we head towards late tonight, early tomorrow, we will see those snow levels dropping down to about 1,000 feet. And with that, we are going to be looking at some of the heavier showers, especially up towards the convergence zone. You might see some wet snow mixed in, and maybe even briefly in those showers sticking on the ground in a few places. But basically, that snow level is going to stay up around 1,000 feet without the shower. So once the shower stops, it should melt pretty quickly. So we head into Friday, we'll look for decreasing showers and some clearing. We dry out briefly, and then we see some more rain later in the weekend. Unfortunately, those snow levels pop up to 6,000 to 7,000 feet. They're into winter storm warning for the Cascades, continues from the Weather Service until 4 p.m. tomorrow. Checking the satellite image, you can see we do have that system moving on through. Cool, showery air behind it is going to maintain those snow showers in the mountains, it looks like, all the way into early Friday. So we're going to continue to pile up the snow in the Cascades. Take a look at the computer model. You can see the system moving in today, moving through probably around midday or so with pretty good burst of precipitation. Might see an isolated thunderstorm. Then that moves on to the east and we'll just be into showers, and that convergence zone will be setting up overnight and stick there, heading out across the area from Everett on across US 2. Snow levels bottoming out tomorrow at about 1,000 feet, maybe 800 feet up to the north. So you might see that wet snow around, and we'll be in first alert mode tomorrow morning, probably through about noontime because of the possibility of some spotty, slippery roads. As we head towards the weekend, though, we'll see those snow levels pop all the way up to 6,000 to 7,000 feet. Look at the snowfall from now until tomorrow morning, totaling probably about 6 to 12 inches. And then from the showers as we head towards Thursday into Friday morning, also looking at more snow with maybe about 5 to 10 inches out of that period of time. So a really good producer. We will see about 1 to 3 feet just about everywhere. So rain turns to showers today, that heavy mountain snow. We'll look for that mix of rain and snow showers in the morning tomorrow with snow levels down around 800 to 1,000 feet, but we will be looking for that to pop up to about 2,000 feet by midday tomorrow. Decreasing showers and clearing Friday, a dry day Saturday, but rain moves in Saturday night, kind of wet off and on to end the weekend and start next week. Definitely warmer with temperatures in the low 50s, and again, those snow levels rising to 6,000 to 7,000 feet.
And nearly 1 month after historic rain, a Snohomish County farm that supplies food banks is still flooded. How the community is helping recover from devastating floods. Plus 73. That's how many landslides Washington has had from the recent flooding. Now lawmakers in D.C. are taking up efforts to prevent them in the future. And nearly a month after historic flooding, a Snohomish County farm in Washington that supplies local food banks is still flooded. The food bank farm operates out of Chinook Farms in the city of Snohomish. All 132 acres flooded, destroying greenhouses and equipment. It supplies more than 300,000 pounds of fresh produce to food banks across the state each year. Now volunteers are helping with cleanup and repairs.
The outpouring of support is just so gratifying, to we're just very, very thankful. Find out who your friends are.
The food bank farm is expected to make a full recovery, so some good news there. And lawmakers in D.C. are taking up efforts to prevent landslides. According to Senator Maria Cantwell, Washington has had at least 73 of them as a result of recent flooding. Renewing the National Landslide Preparedness Act would expand early warning systems, update the nation's topographical maps, and identify risk and hazards from landslides. It passed the Senate unanimously on Monday and now moves on to the House. The deadliest landslide in U.S. history happened in Oso, Washington, in Snohomish County back in 2014, killing 43 people. And help is finally on the way for people living near Lake Tapps, where a road and parts of a neighborhood are still underwater after last month's flooding. A clogged culvert is to blame, but as Seattle's Savannah Welch reports, the fight over who's responsible for clearing it has dragged on for weeks.
Neighbors are frustrated and wondering why it's taken so long to get this fixed. This intersection here at South Tapps Drive East and 190th Avenue has been closed for 3 weeks. It's a high traffic area where at least 10 cars have already been towed because of the flooding. A nearby pond on private property overflowed after a drainage pipe got clogged. The county says it's the owner's responsibility. The property manager, John Hoffer, he didn't want to go on camera but says he's been trying to fix it, spending about $15,000 in the last month on this. He adds the drain is now 6 feet underwater and it's just too much for him to handle alone.
I considered trying to see if a diver would come in here to go down and look. It's not a simple job. Oh no, we can't even get to it.
On Tuesday, Pierce County crews checked the site and Hoffer signed off, giving them access to the drain and the road. Crews are expected to return today to start pumping out the floodwater. County records show 7 active code violations on the property, but Hoffer says they're unrelated. He says he's responded to all notices, saying he's been cooperative and has been working to fix the flooding. In the meantime, we'll be checking in with neighbors in the county in the coming days to see how the progress is going in getting this area fully drained. In Pierce County, Savannah Welch, King 5 News.
And still to come, we'll check in with Ginger Jeffries in Phoenix, as well as Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle in Denver. Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Wednesday, January 7th. What you're looking at right now is the snowfall in Anchorage, Alaska. It set a daily record yesterday. More than 9 inches fell in some places, and they're getting blasted by an ongoing winter storm. The severe weather caused significant delays at Anchorage International Airport, and they're set to get another 4 to 9 inches today. Wow, look at that, whiteout conditions there. And in Arizona, a winter weather advisory has been issued for some of the higher elevations on Wednesday and Thursday. Let's check in with Phoenix's Ginger Jeffries, who is tracking the snow and rain in the valley.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your, weather impact alert day across Arizona. This is something that we just kind of want to give you the heads up that we do have some active weather, and it is going to be rolling through the region today, affecting at least 70% of the area. I'm talking about rain, potentially some thunderstorms into this evening, and certainly some snow. We do have some weather advisories now issued from the National Weather Service, but let's start with this. Now, one thing you'll notice, we don't have a lot of activity on the west side of the state. That's because this system is coming up from the south and then meeting the cold air coming down from the north, and that's the equation for snow, especially for high country through the rim and certainly on the White Mountains. But a lot of this is going to miss the west side. So from Parker to Yuma, even though your temperatures are coming down, I don't think you're going to so much get the rainfall. That is going to be focused, as you can see, from Tucson into Sedona. And like I said, we've got a big concern for some snow through the rim today as well. That's why National Weather Service issuing a winter weather advisory. All the areas you see here in purple today through tomorrow. Snow elevations may be dropping as low as 5,000 feet, and the snow expectations are between 2 to possibly up to 8 inches of the white stuff. So some fresh powder, much needed. We haven't seen it in quite a while, and notice how close it's getting into the metro. So that means superstitions. Oh boy, is it going to be chilly. And as far as measurable rainfall, Phoenix, you need to be ready for some measurable rainfall today, anywhere from a tenth up to a half an inch of rain. And again, that's all because look at where it's coming from. Up from the south, clipping the metro, so it's going to hit South Mountain. And then as it squeezes out around it, it really looks like the prime impact is going to be on the east side of the valley. And some of this activity is going to get dynamic in nature, meaning we could get some pop-up thunderstorms. Now, we need a little bit of warm air impact to mix in with that moisture. That's why it's later this afternoon into the evening hours. But by about 1:30, we should start seeing some widespread rainfall, and then it's going to push on through into the higher elevations, possibly some thunderstorms after the 4 o'clock hour, and then look for that snow impact overnight into tomorrow. We still have an opportunity for some showers tomorrow. It just means this coverage is going to kind of collapse. We're down to about 50% of the region seeing some showers, but also that's when the cold air really pushes in. And so today, while the snow elevation is at 7,500 feet, it may get as low as 4,500 feet. So again, this should trigger everyone, whether you're in a snow region or not, that this is going to be a cold system. And again, yes, the metro should be bracing for some measurable rainfall today. So look at the numbers, down to 62 under scattered showers. We've been cruising in the 70s, my friends. So numbers are coming down. Our prime time for showers beginning will be around the noon hour through 2. We're going to get some breaks, but again, this is going to kind of be some off and on action for today into tomorrow with, snow expected, much cooler conditions, but this guy is going to clear out in time for the weekend. As you can see, there is some nice recovery. We're back to sunny skies and temps in the 70s by Sunday. Until that time, look for temperatures well below the normal range, even dropping into the upper 30s Friday night.
And in Denver, they are gearing up for colder temperatures and snow thanks to a storm system moving in Thursday and into Friday. But first, warm and windy conditions today. Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle have all the details.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We have had a prolonged period of abnormally warm and dry weather conditions with critical fire weather, but I'm happy to say our weather headlines include colder weather and the chance for accumulating snow right here in Denver on Thursday and Friday. That same storm will also bring a round of snow to the mountains that benefit skiers and recreationalists, which have been dealing with an abnormally low snowpack for the season. And we've been talking about red flag warnings, fire weather, and hopefully we'll get a little reprieve from that. The system is still north and west of us, but showing signs of digging into the Four Corners area where it will tap into some cold air. This is the cold air here. It doesn't stick around very long, and we miss most of it as it heads into the Midwest and Northeast. But due to the proximity of the cold air, we do see deepening upslope as that low stays to the south of us. So the factors and the features are moving around and the models can't quite agree, but we do think we could see about 1 to 4 inches of snow here, which would be amazing. Today, a mostly sunny and dry day statewide. A few snow showers developing in the mountains late in the afternoon and evening. Not enough that we have winter weather or travel advisories. Snow doesn't begin in Denver until Thursday. Could see a band of snow during the evening drive Thursday and then again on Friday morning. So 1 to 4 inches of snow possible. Less than a 10% chance that we would see 6 inches, which some of the models have suggested. And so we put out a potential weather impact alert for both Thursday and Friday. We start in the 30s, warm to the upper 50s. Again, average highs are in the mid 40s. We're way above that today. Colder Thursday and Friday, and then cool to kick off the weekend, but we're back to sunshine and 50s for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. Colorado is bracing for a bit of weather whiplash here over the next 24 hours, from sunshine from the mountains to the plains on this Wednesday, January 7th, to widespread winter weather. It's a fast-moving system moving in from the west-northwest, and temperature-wise from the upper 50s this afternoon to only around 40 degrees in Denver. This is not a major metro area storm, but a lot of widespread precipitation will be helpful. The National Weather Service has issued winter weather advisories for portions of the western slope, our northern mountains, and south of the metro area down from Pueblo to Trinidad. Some heavier snowfall expected as the storm system swirls in and out quickly across the state. It has been unseasonably mild already to start the month of January. Denver started off in the mid to upper 60s this week, but as this area of low pressure and some Arctic air rolls into Colorado and a big portion of the country, we will be bracing for some colder, wetter weather. Very helpful for drought conditions. We have seen worsening drought so far this winter all across the Front Range and especially into our central mountains here across the state. So a lot of moisture streaming in from the Pacific and then making its way into Colorado quickly through the day on Thursday. Mountain snow showers off and on becoming a little more widespread. Heavier snowfall out across the western slope over our northern central mountains, our Park, our Elkhead Range, also the wet mountains south of Colorado into Colorado Springs, Monument Hill, and for the Denver metro area, it'll be some moderate snow as we get into later on Thursday. So this storm system, there's a lot of uncertainty with it because of the temperatures. In and around the Denver area and east, we're not expecting extremely cold air. The mountains, though, our 3-day forecast, best chance for seeing that snow accumulate Thursday into Friday, 13 inches, over a foot possible. Aspen, Snowmass, Powderhorn, a lot of the Front Range area ski resorts picking up around 5 to 8 inches. Right now, our snowfall forecast looks pretty significant off to the west near the tunnel, but any little bit of precipitation, we will welcome it here in Colorado. It has been so dry so far this winter.
And the International Snow Sculpture Championship is returning to Breckenridge, Colorado later this month for the 35th year. According to a spokesperson for the Breckenridge Tourism Office, the event will kick off on January 24th, so not too far away, just in a little around 3 weeks. Less than 3 weeks. Artists will then have 94 continuous hours to complete their work before officials judge and crown a winner. The sculptures are going to be available to view until February 3rd, and they are going to be lit in the evening for nighttime viewing. The entire event, including the opening and award ceremonies, is free and open to the public. Look at, was that a dragon? How cool. So many talented people out there. Now, coming up next, we still have forecasts for you from Sacramento and San Diego. Walkers along the coast had to dodge sinkholes in Carlsbad, San Diego on Monday. Sinkholes are very common after heavy rain because the water saturates the ground, erodes supporting soil, and dissolves the bedrock like limestone.
Cliffs have been eroding in through the area. This is a thin spot. We usually just kind of walk around. I haven't seen it all taped off like this, so it concerns me. It looks like it's come back a couple of feet since this last rain.
And cleanup is still happening right now across San Diego after last week's heavy rain. The last couple of weeks of heavy rain. And other areas hit hard with flooding include Mission Valley, where businesses like a flower shop, Native Poppy, and has flooded. A CrossFit bar owner, Adam Gelfand, and some gym members spent the weekend cleaning up after several feet of water rushed through the business New Year's Day.
It's pretty stressful. We did have all these, flood boards that were built for us to prevent floods from happening. All of those were destroyed during on January 1st. So stressing out that we don't have the stuff to put up these protections in case something does happen.
Swift water rescue crews are stationed ahead of storms throughout the city as a precaution. And staying in San Diego, the chance for showers remains through Wednesday before a drier end to the work week, and strong westerly winds will sweep through Wednesday night through Thursday morning. Vanessa Paz has those details.
Happy Wednesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. At about 8 o'clock, we did have some instability just west of San Diego County, offshore and to our south across northern Baja. None of it really made its way into the region. In fact, we were looking mostly dry around the 8-9 o'clock hour, but that's not to say we're in the clear. In fact, I'm not ruling out the chance for a stray shower here or there as we progress into Wednesday, especially through the noon evening hours. But it looks like most of the shower activity, if we do see any, will be confined to the mountains as well as our desert areas. And then by the time we get to tomorrow morning, notice how we have a lot less green on the maps, indicating much drier conditions with some peaks of sunshine. As we take a look at what's ahead as we progress through the next couple of days, we are going to have a secondary system push in from the Pacific Northwest. And this really isn't going to pack a punch in terms of precipitable moisture, but it will in fact amplify our onshore flow. So it will enhance those westerly winds, which is why we'll trade in the threat for showers we'll trade in the threat from showers to high winds, which could potentially be a problem for us because we did have, again, some record-breaking rainfall over the past week. It saturated our grounds pretty heavily. So when we factor in the high winds that we're expecting tomorrow all the way through Friday, we could have the threat for some downed trees. So as we take a look at the wind gust forecast, notice how we start to see those winds coming out of the northwest this evening, and then they'll continue to strengthen looking ahead to tomorrow afternoon. The National Weather Service has already issued a high wind watch as well as an advisory for the county's eastern half that will take place all the way through Thursday night. Isolated gusts could get anywhere between 50 and 60 miles per hour. And again, we're looking at the threat for flying debris as well as down trees or down power lines. So here are the weather headlines as we push into the second half of the work week. We're looking forward to scattered isolated showers today, mainly impacting the morning hours, and then most of that instability moves into the mountains and desert areas. Cooler than normal temperatures with brisk mornings ahead, especially when it comes to Thursday night and Thursday night into Friday morning, as well as Friday night into Saturday morning. You can look out for windy conditions, as I mentioned, with a threat for downed trees or power lines. Here's a look outside at what we saw around the 8-9 o'clock hour. We had a lot of clouds push on in. Temperatures around the 8-9 a.m. hour were sticking in the 50s. So in terms of daytime highs, we are going to remain quite cool, a lot cooler than where we should be for this time of year. As far as normal goes, we should typically be in the high 60s for the coast and inland valleys, but we'll be anywhere between 1 to nearly 10 degrees cooler than average. As we take a look at the 7-day coastal forecast, we are going to remain on the cooler end all the way through Thursday, and then we'll shoot into the high 60s. By the time we get to Saturday, we'll feel that noticeable warming, and then we're remaining mild for the latter part of the weekend into early next week. As we take a look at the inland 7-day forecast, we're in the low 60s. Again, we should be in the high 60s for this time of year. So we're going to remain below seasonal. Mid 60s on tap on Friday, and then we're pushing into the 70s, warming all the way through Tuesday due to the shift of those winds coming out of the east, also known as Santa Ana's. And finally, here's a look at your 7-day for the mountains and deserts.
Now let's head on up to North California and check in with Sacramento's Monica Woods because she's tracking more showers, and she tells us how the reservoirs and snowpack are shaping up.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods looking at our regional headlines, which include another chance for some light showers coming through northern and central California. That includes the coast, the valley, the foothills, and even for this year, some light snow showers expected. Look at our river flood stages. For much of the river streams, things are starting to subside ever so slightly. We still have some upstream issues because there are releases happening on many of the major reservoirs. So say for Lake Shasta, releases are happening. So downstream from that through the Sacramento River, some overflow happening and some passive weirs. That just means the water's flowing freely into areas that are built to handle some of the excess water. So Lake Shasta up again. Water levels continue to increase. This is up about 100,000 acre feet from what we were even looking at the day prior, with our major reservoir supply levels very healthy, anywhere from 65 to almost 85% full for the northern part of the state. And then as we move our way southward, anywhere from about 70 to almost 80% full. So again, all of these storms coming through, not great timing, but great for our water levels. Plus our snowfall Friday through Monday has really been impressive, anywhere from about 18 to 50 inches of snow in a short time frame. That has boosted a lot of the recreation throughout the high country. And now we actually get to enjoy it because things aren't so dicey traveling and navigating many of those mountain roadways. Our snow water equivalent, if we were to take all of that snow, melt it down to fill some of those reservoirs, is sitting at 65 to over 115 or near 115% of average. Statewide average sits at 90%. So again, a great look as we're heading into the middle of January. Statewide precipitation, a much different look than what we were seeing last year at this time. There was a stark line of demarcation where we saw a very wet northern part of California, Southern California, parched. We picked up the Santa Ana winds, and we unfortunately saw some of the most deadly and destructive wildfires in California history in the Los Angeles area. So again, nice to see some of this rainfall. On the flip side, we've had to deal with some of the flooding concerns, but this is the time of year we pick up 50% of our annual precipitation, December, January, and February. Once we hit March and April, things really start to dry out. This is our active time of year. As far as our futurecast, we will see a weak weather system passing through for our Wednesday. That's mainly going to be a midday event all the way through the evening and then finally passing off to the south here. And that's going to lead to some clearing and drier weather. Patchy frost, though, throughout Northern California. It's kind of a cool air mass that settles in here. 30s up top for the Sierra, 40s and 50s down low throughout the foothills as we travel our way through the central Sierra. Highs in the 40s, picking up additional light snow accumulation. Nothing like what we saw this weekend. Central coast, a few showers there, as well as inland areas with highs in the 50s and 60s. Bay Area forecast, a few light showers. Highs are in the 50s, near 60 for inland areas as we travel along the northwest coast. Highs only near 50. North end of the valley also low 50s, so the colder air working its way in. Highs are in the low to mid 50s heading into our Wednesday forecast throughout the capital region. A move on to our extended forecast. We get that chance of those showers coming in for our Wednesday, but then things really start to dry out here heading into the weekend. Cool, though, for that Friday forecast and patchy frost throughout much of the valley locations, and then things start to warm up heading into next week.
And coming up next, a conservation success story now in jeopardy. How new border wall construction threatens a revival of jaguars in the U.S. They're rare, elusive, and once thought to be gone for good. Jaguars have been coming back to southern Arizona, but their path home is now running into a man-made barrier. San Diego's meteorologist Sean Stiles shows us what's at stake.
It was back in January 2021 that I shared with you in an Earth 8 report about the sighting of a jaguar in southern Arizona. It was believed the cat had come north out of Sonora, Mexico. At the time, Ganesh Marin was at the University of Arizona working on his PhD.
We found an astonishing amount of diversity. And when I am saying that, I am calling you about pumas, black bears, beavers, ocelot, and lately we discovered that there is the jaguar. And this is pretty incredible.
Since then, more jaguars have been spotted coming north into Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
This is video of a jaguar captured by Jason Miller, a hobbyist wildlife photographer on one of his trail cams.
Unbelievable. Here it is.
Wow, what a magnificent creature.
Researchers believe that this is a new jaguar based on the spots on the fur that are like a fingerprint, and that it's not Sombra or El Jefe, the two other jaguars known to come north into Arizona. However, just as jaguars are starting to reestablish their range in the United States, humans are again a threat with the border wall. Russ McSpaden is an advocate at the Center of Biological Diversity Southwest Conservation.
I saw that there were, about a dozen hard hats, guys in hard hats were packing, explosives into the mountain.
Explosions and then plumes of dust soon covered the slopes of the Coronado National Memorial to prepare the land for the double border wall.
Yeah, it's a real stab in the heart to see this.
That's because the land is protected critical habitat for endangered species like the jaguar, who have been recently making their way north into that terrain again.
This new jaguar comes back. It's this moment to celebrate it, but it's also sort of a punch in the gut.
The Center for Biological Diversity filed a lawsuit in July saying the construction was unconstitutional and disregards environmental protections.
We're waiting for this court case to, with high hopes, but, it's a long shot.
And until that decision is made, they'll have to sit and watch as the small wildlife corridor gets smaller.
I really think it's worth protecting. It's a